I never imagined that the most heartbreaking betrayal in my life would come not from an enemy, but from the very child I carried, raised, and gave my everything to. The day we buried my husband, I thought my soul had shattered permanently. 40 years of laughter, love, arguments, dinners, holidays, and silence all ended in a folded flag and a grave that felt colder than death itself. My son stood beside me, silent, holding my hand, and in that moment, I clung to the belief that even if the man I loved was gone, I still had the boy we raised together, the one we gave our dreams to, the one we worked 2 jobs for, the one who drew us stick-figure family portraits with sunshine in the corners. That night, as I sat alone in the quiet house filled with echoes of a life now gone, his empty chair, his jacket still hanging by the door, his favorite mug with the chipped edge, I kept telling myself, "You have your son. He will not let you fall." So, when he offered to take me on a drive the next morning to clear our heads, I said yes, without hesitation. We drove beyond the suburbs, past familiar streets, into the deep countryside where tall trees whispered to one another and the roads thinned until only gravel crunched beneath the tires. He was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that makes your skin itch with warning. I looked over and softly said, "Your dad would have loved this drive." But he didn't answer. His eyes were fixed forward, hands gripping the wheel like something heavy pressed on him. Then he stopped just like that. Pulled over on a dirt path with no signs, no homes, no people. I asked, "Why are we stopping?" He didn't look at me when he said it. Those words that will stay carved into my bones forever. "This is where you get off." I laughed, nervously, confused. "Stop joking. This isn't funny." But he wasn't joking. His voice went cold, unfamiliar, robotic almost. "You're a burden, Mom. I have a life. I can't take care of you." I sat frozen. I thought he was grieving. I thought he needed time. But instead, he opened the door, took out my small suitcase from the trunk, one I didn't even realize he'd packed, and placed it on the dirt. No hug. No goodbye. Just the roar of the engine growing smaller as the dust rose behind his disappearing car. I stood there trembling, in disbelief, the trees around me watching silently as if nature itself mourned for me. I started walking, barefoot, crying, whispering his name like maybe he'd come back, but he didn't. Hours passed before I reached a tiny gas station. The clerk, a kind woman in her 50s, took one look at my red eyes and dirt-covered dress and asked gently, "Are you okay, ma'am?" That question broke something in me. I collapsed into tears, shaking, ashamed and shattered. She called her aunt, who ran a nearby shelter. That night, I slept in a stranger's bed with warm blankets, not because of my family, but because a stranger showed more humanity than my own son. Days turned into weeks. In that shelter, I met women like me, abandoned, discarded, silenced. Mothers, widows, warriors. Each had a story that had never been told, and in their pain, I found fragments of my own healing. I began helping in the kitchen, cleaning rooms, folding laundry, small things, but they made me feel human again. Then one day, the shelter director read my journal entry I'd written late one night. She looked at me with tears and said, "Your words could heal someone." She helped me set up a community circle where I told my story, not as a victim, but as a woman who had stood on the edge of being erased and fought her way back. The first time I shared, I shook with fear. But the room listened. Women cried. Some came up and hugged me with trembling hands, whispering, "That was my story too." Word spread. I started speaking in community centers, libraries, even on small local radio. I wasn't just someone's mother or someone's widow anymore. I was me. I was purpose. I was proof that pain doesn't kill you, it reveals you. Years passed. I saved up, worked odd jobs, shared stories wherever I could, slowly building a life stitched together by courage and kindness. And then one day, as I finished a speech at a women's event, there he was, standing in the back. My son. His face pale, his eyes wet, his hands shaking. I froze. The room disappeared. Just him and me. Afterward, he walked toward me slowly, like a child who broke something valuable. Mom, he said, voice cracking. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to deal with the grief. I was drowning and I pushed you away. I've regretted it every single day. I looked at him, the boy I once rocked to sleep, the man who had abandoned me, and all the pain surged up, but with it came strength I didn't know I had. I forgive you, I said, honestly. But I've changed. I'm not the same woman who sat quietly in that car. I had to rebuild myself from the ashes of what you left behind. And I'm proud of who I've become. We hugged. It wasn't perfect. It didn't erase the scars. But it mattered. It was real. And sometimes that's enough. The road he left me on? It didn't destroy me. It delivered me. To myself. To a life of purpose. To a voice I never knew I had. I share this not for sympathy but to remind you, yes you, that if you've ever felt unwanted, unheard, or unseen, your story isn't over. You are not invisible. You are not broken. You are becoming. And if this story touched even the smallest corner of your heart, I ask just one thing. Subscribe to this channel. Because somewhere out there, someone is standing on their own lonely road, wondering if they matter. And maybe by clicking that button, by liking, sharing, or commenting, you help them see the light again. Not just mine, but theirs. Let's remind the world that discarded hearts can still beat louder than ever. Your voice, your presence, your support, it changes lives. Just like a gas station clerk did for me. Be that light. Be that echo. Be the